Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and in wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet, pathetic poor soul, can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and dim-wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and in wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic, poor soul, can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and dim-wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic, poor soul, can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic, poor soul, can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic, poor soul, can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic, poor soul, can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic, poor soul, can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and dim-wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic, poor soul, can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and dim-wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat need is so sweet, pathetic poor soul can't reach.
You are watching Dr. Balls. And why the hell wouldn't you be?
Dr. Balls is a presentation of Smacking Off the Podcast.
Dr. Balls in the house. What's going on? The doctor knows who's going down. Dr. Balls will know.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Smacking Off the Podcast.
What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, can you hear me?
You got
We
me?
can.
What?
Y'all got me?
Yes, we do. And I can hear Nikki
Wait.
there. Sean, have you joined us?
No, Sean's not here yet.
Oh, okay.
Wait, can you
He's
hear
always
me or not?
fashionably late.
I cannot.
Yes,
Nobody can hear you, Ed.
Well, that's funny.
All right, guys. So
All
welcome
right.
back to
So there was no basketball this weekend, was there?
Oh yeah, there was big basketball.
I didn't
Alabama
see any. But I see no basketball this weekend. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah,
That was
it was very unfortunate. I got stuck watching the Four Nations face off in the NHL. I mean, it was just a very dull weekend, right?
Yep.
I'm
Look
still
at the
pissed
Gators.
at Bama.
What's that,
Stupid
Nikki?
ass Bama.
Well, really, the Auburn and Bama, that was a hell of a game. Really, in the end, the fact that they could go to Broome to get a basket whenever they had to stop a run probably won the game. And Alabama didn't hit threes at their normal pace, but you have to think that in another setting, they'll probably rematch in the SEC tournament. Then the Bama might hit threes, so all's not lost. Alabama only dropped to 4, but Auburn's for real. They're a badass team, guys. I have to say they're very deserving of number one. They've took on all comers and they've won. So
Well, I'm
They
still
look-
pissed at Bama. I'm sorry. I'm
They
pissed at
didn't
them.
beat Florida.
No, of course not. But I needed Bama to be number one. There was a chance that a team had a chance to play and beat 3 number 1 teams in a season. And Bama, come on.
but Florida's doing real well lately, Nikki. They've exceeded expectations. They had a big win this weekend themselves. And how you feeling on Florida this year?
I didn't know what to expect coming into this year. There was a lot of chatter before the season with Golden and some issues. And since that was thrown out, it's just gotten, I think we really started seeing how well Florida could play and that they actually were a contender probably about 3 weeks ago. We
They're
really
22
see
now.
them play both sides of the ball.
You're killing
Well,
Oklahoma.
Yeah, we're destroying Oklahoma. They don't have a chance.
Well, and the thing about Todd Golden is we actually last Friday had him on the 24/7 Sports College Basketball Show on CBS Sports Network and talked about like his style of offense, the kind of personnel that he brings in, where he likes to, play that too big kind of offense. Where in the last 2 years or so, it seemed like it was coming together, but it was coming together slowly, and he's now kind of like they kind of had like a Steph Curry style offense, but with like a JaVale McGee type. That's kind of how he explained it. And now he said that this year it seems like everything has kind of started to gel now, and everything started to kick in. So the Todd Golden the work in progress for Todd Golden, it seems to be paying off for Florida this year.
It is.
So
They're
they have
pushing on
good-
both sides of the ball.
Now, Nikki, they had an injury at the end of last year that was huge. Their 7-footer, versatile player, I forget his name, like Maul Luger or something like that. And then they had an injury here just right the other day, and then they brought old dude that I just talked about in off red shirt to replace him. So obviously they didn't miss a beat, but the way they're stomping Oklahoma. Do you know the players I'm talking about?
Yeah, but Clayton is back right now, but he's not playing full time. They're letting him just slowly make his way back onto the court. Richard is back, and I think that's about. Those were our two main injured players, and they're back tonight.
Yeah, I had notes on this, guys. I'm sorry about that, but I had to chase my like 12-week-old Boston Terrier Bonnie Pooter out of the road here a minute ago, and I don't know what I did with it. But that's all right.
In that cold, did you die a few times? Because I've died a few times today.
And you guys,
and
you guys are talking about the Florida-Oklahoma game right now, and I'm looking at the box score of this game right now, where if you look at the field goal percentage, you look at 3-point percentage, rebounds, free throws, maybe a little bit of a slight difference. But the key, it looks like it's been pretty dead even. But the big difference in this one is for Oklahoma has been the turnovers. They have 13 of them compared to 6 of them. And Florida has 18 points off turnovers in this game. And that's been the big swing so far.
That's what's been happening pretty much every week. These guys have been on top of turnovers. And they're, sorry, I was watching.
Their offense gets most of the press, but they got a good defense.
That's what I was saying earlier. They click. Both sides of this ball clicks, offense and defense. They really work well on the court. They click.
And the biggest thing for Florida is the second chance points that they get, because their rebound margin, I believe, going into last weekend was at a plus 8.6, and they were in the top of the SEC when it came to offensive rebounds. So it's big, especially your offense being a lot more productive, getting those second chance opportunities.
And that's what killed us against Tennessee. The second time we played them, we could not. Our defense just couldn't click that game. So
sorry about that. Now, Ed, I noticed that Michigan got a big win against Ohio State at Ohio State.
Yeah, Sean was trying to dog me saying, "Oh, it's against a shitty team," but that's a game that Ohio State needed. It was on the road, and it's a rivalry, and a win's a win, and they're 20-5 and 12-2. And he keeps saying they're not back. Well, we're back.
Well, he's doing a great job up there, the coach up there, and I think they've improved greatly. Hell, they got them ranked number 12. Looks like they could get a 3 or 4 seed. I ain't hating. And
well, I was going to say, my question was Michigan able to plant the flag at center court? That's what.
I don't know if it would stay. You'd have to have guys holding it, but
I mean, definitely need a beam up at.
Somebody there would have to have an old Milwaukee drill, and they would be in one of those drills. They would be able to drill the hole in there for the pole just to stand upright, right?
Oh, you couldn't do that. That'd be awful.
But they photoshopped it after the game.
What about that second half that the Terps put on Iowa?
Oh yeah, they come back and crashed them. It was incredible. They really heated up. I think Maryland's been playing good in spurts. If they were consistent, they might be a contender.
After the game at Nebraska, I was watching the big show, and I'm not saying I agree with this statement, but one of the guys on the show says that they might have the best starting 5 in the country.
Damn. Yeah, that might be a little bit of a stretch if you look at Duke, but yeah, I think Michigan has a lot of talent, but I don't think I'd go that far. I mean, Arkansas.
No, he was talking about Maryland.
Oh, Maryland, yeah, it's possible, but I look at Duke, I look at Arkansas. That's probably has most talent on the single teams that I've seen. And I don't know though. Auburn's pretty high up there, and then yeah, they got a lot of talent, but I don't know if they've gone that high. But I am impressed when Maryland has played well. It's been impressive, guys. They put up a lot of points real quick. They create their own opportunities off defense, get easy buckets, big slams. It's high flying, but the ACC's down overall. So Maryland going to the Big Ten is kind of a good thing for them this year. They can contend for the number one spot. Looks like Michigan State and Michigan are the only teams really in contention. So Maryland has an opportunity to get a chance to win the Big Ten tournament and get a good seed in the NCAA tournament, make a good showing for themselves. I'm excited.
I don't see them winning. I don't see them winning the conference tournament.
You don't think that they can beat Michigan State?
I think if they don't get the double bye and they got to win 4 games, it'll be tough. And they're right.
Now, shout out. What's that?
They're right there with because you got Purdue, Michigan State, and Michigan pretty well locked into the top 3 seeds, although Purdue did lose tonight to Michigan State. You got Michigan and really Wisconsin and UCLA sort of duking it out for the 4th spot, the 4th double bye.
No, Wisconsin's better than people expected, for sure.
And UCLA's been hot ever since Mick Cronin just blasted the shit out of them.
Damn.
Well, for Mick Cronin, that's just Tuesday, right?
He's a sourpuss, isn't he?
I mean, he gets a little salty. I've seen some of his media scrums in my day. He has a tendency to get a little salty more often than not.
Did you see the Xavier Cincinnati game when he was coaching at Xavier where they broke into open fist fighting on the court? I think it was like 15 years ago or something.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was something else.
So the glass shatters and Mick Cronin comes out like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, start doing something.
Yeah, he wasn't that big around, I got a kick out of that. Now, Michigan State, I got to give a shout out to Coach Tom Izzo. He's now the winningest coach in the Big Ten conference history as far as Big Ten wins. He's now the winningest coach in the history of the Big Ten conference. Shout out to Tom Izzo. And so, guys, I wish Sean was here so we can talk about Creighton. So he's here, so we can talk about Creighton and St. John's. Did you watch the Creighton versus St. John's game?
Who are you asking?
Sean. He's not here yet. That's what I was asking.
No, he's here. He's here.
I thought he said he was here. That's right.
Right.
He's hiding.
All right. Sorry, I did not hear Sean come in. It usually alerts me audio.
Yes. So did you see Creighton versus St. John's?
Yeah, I did. But getting back to the Big Ten discussion, I think probably Wisconsin is playing the best basketball in that conference right now.
Hell yeah.
They've looked dynamite the last 2 times I've watched.
They're up 7 on Illinois right now.
They looked pretty good dismantling. What was it, Purdue? A week ago?
They did.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that coming. So
I think Wisconsin
and Maryland are the 2 sneaker teams to watch out for in the Big Ten.
Wait, Maryland and who?
Wisconsin. I don't think either of them are getting talked about enough.
And one last thing on the Big Ten. I know you guys are transitioning to Creighton and St. John's, but the one thing that just kind of popped in my mind with the Big Ten, we talked about Purdue, we talked about Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, UCLA, kind of on the fringe. Illinois down a little bit from what we're used to. It just kind of felt like this year because Illinois got hit by the portal by losing the likes of a Coleman Hawkins. Like for a lot of those teams, it seemed like the portal between the transfer portal and also with new head coaches coming in, like Dusty May at Michigan, it almost kind of felt like a transition year for a lot of people where it just seems like the Big Ten is in the midst of I wouldn't will say a lull, but it's almost kind of like they're kind of stuck in that second gear and they're trying to like move around the gear shift to try to get it back to that next gear and move forward.
Well, they're down 12 now, and if they lose tonight, they're 17-10 and 9-8, which gets them closer to the bubble. I mean, they're still on the right side of it, even with a loss, but it has the potential to get a little dicey for them.
It should put Brad Underwood on the hot seat. This year being very well underachieving, and then the early tournament exits for Illinois with better teams. If I'm Brad Underwood, I'd be nervous.
The news desk is reporting into us, evidently.
I don't think they'd fire him after this year.
No,
I
we
think
will,
he'll at least
we will
get
not
one more
break
bid.
from weather coverage to put the game on full screen. Sorry.
That's awful, ain't it?
I've
I hate
had
to that.
by the way, when I worked in TV, I had to take those phone calls and they pissed me off to no end. Just saying.
So I was working in Chicago, Jason, and I read the local newspaper, and it showed plainly in the Tribune or whatever it was I was reading. Nobody been in the Sun Times that the UK versus Michigan State game. This was in like 99 or 2000. Right after the year that Michigan State won the national championship. So they were playing it was called the Elite Eight or championship or whatever they had up there in Chicago. And so I said, it's going to be on TV. I can watch it from the hotel. And I turned it on at the time. It even showed on the channel guy it was going to be on. And there was some kind of infomercial. That blew my mind. I never in my life have seen the UK game.
See that right there, everybody has the right to complain, because if you're wanting to watch a big matchup like Michigan State and Kentucky, especially around 99 or 2000, which was my senior year in high school, and you're seeing Ron Popeil and set it and forget it, you have every right to be pissed.
Absolutely.
Or what was it around that time? Probably a Girls Gone Wild TV promo for 30 minutes.
Oh, Girls Gone Wild, my goodness. Oh, I see the Girls Gone Wild video the other day, and I opened up and I thought it was a Jimi Hendrix. So it says it was a Jimi Hendrix compilation CD, and I'm like sifting Goodwill for this kind of stuff. And I looked through it, I opened it, it's a Girls Gone Wild DVD, and I'm looking at my wife. I said, "Should I buy it? It's $1."
You should have.
Did she tell you to buy it, or did she tell you not to, Bob?
So she asked me if Voodoo Child was on the CD, and I looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, for sure."
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a Hendrix reference to that, and the only one I can come up with is "Are You Experienced?" I got that.
Have you ever? Yeah, it's got should have said Electric Ladyland, because the original cover of Electric Ladyland is a bunch of naked women, right?
There you go. There you go. Right there. I knew you'd come through for me.
So, guys, college basketball's heating up. We had Titanic matchups where we talked about Alabama and Auburn, and it's getting down to the nitty gritty. There's only a few leagues left of the concert tournaments. Different teams are starting to show out as truly being better or worse than we thought they were. And is Creighton still in first place in the Big East, Sean?
St. John's has got firm control of that by winning that game Sunday against us. They've got 2 games ahead of us, so we'd need them to collapse and whatnot for the regular season title. But Creighton's won the regular season Big East title before. The goal has always been to win at Madison Square Garden, win the tournament. So sitting in second is fine. Thankfully, because of UConn went into our building, finally beat us for the first time after a absolutely horrific 3-point night from the Jays at home, which rarely happens. I think we were 19% from the field, which is atrocious when you're usually 35, 36%. And credit to UConn, their stellar freshman, whose name is escaping me right now, but that kid played his tail off. I think he scored 30 of their points. They beat us by, I think, 2 or 3. But then they go to Seton Hall, who's terrible, and cough one up, because had they won that game, they would have been tied with us in second. Instead, they're staying in third, even though we lost the game at St. John's, which, second year in a row the Big East has done this. They put this game at noon, on Sunday, when that should have been a Saturday night game. And for whatever reason, the Jays just do not play well at Madison Square Garden since they've joined the Big East, whether it's in the regular season against St. John's or in the Big East tournament. So as long as we finish in second in the regular season, Big East, the goal has always been to win that tournament. Something we haven't done yet under Coach McDermott's tenure at Creighton. But it was a hard-fought game. Didn't necessarily like the way St. John's forward came up and under Kalkbrenner. Thank God he wasn't seriously injured, but he was out for about 6 minutes of the second half. And, that's where St. John's started to pull away a little bit. But St. John's, the one thing, that's going to kill them come tournament time, they cannot hit free throws to save their life. They are a horrific free throw shooting team. So if they need free throws to win a game, that's going to bode not well for Rick Pitino's bunch. They are atrocious. And that's, one of their 2 home arenas that they play regularly in. It was clank, clunk, all the time, which really kept us in the game longer than we should have been in the game, because they just couldn't hit free throws down the stretch. The last 6 minutes of that game, they should have put us away with free throws, and they just couldn't do it. I was quite surprised that even with 2 minutes left, we had a chance to tie or go ahead of them.
Yeah, I think that freshman that you were thinking about was Liam McNeely.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah, McNeely was incredible. Hats off to him. He was dynamite.
Just let you know, we had him very, very high on the 24/7 Sports ranking.
As he should have been. No, that's the second time I've seen him this year. He's outstanding for a freshman. I mean, true freshman, not a redshirt. I mean, he's a true freshman, and he was taking and making big shots the whole game. He wanted the ball in his hands. So looks like Dan Hurley got another good one there in Storrs, Connecticut. And I wouldn't write Connecticut off just yet. I know they're not at their peak like they were the last 2 years, but they're going to make the tournament, and they're going to be a dangerous team.
Yeah, I was listening to ESPN radio on the way home, and they were talking about the Villanova Creighton game tonight, and the guy said between 2 bubble teams, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, Creighton's not a bubble team. They're in the tournament.
I mean, it was UConn and Villanova. They were talking.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
UConn and Villanova. UConn's not a bubble team.
No, UConn will get in. All they need is a couple more wins, and they'll get in on name alone. You want the back-to-back defending champion in the tournament. That'll draw TV viewers. Villanova is definitely a bubble team, but not UConn.
Well, not just that.
It's not Creighton.
Well, and not just that UConn is, it seems like they're starting to learn how to win on the road in conference games, because there was a streak that they had there for a while. I believe they were 1-19 in conference road games, I think, dating all the way back to like 2015 at one point.
Yeah.
When our research,
to your point,
I'll throw this out there. I'm sorry to interrupt you. But just when I saw that stat on our research packet, when we were getting ready to put stuff in there to talk about this game, I had to look at it twice. My producer looked at me and he was like, "Marks, is that right?" I was like, "That's what it said." I even checked it with our research guy. I was like, "You sure that wasn't a typo?" And he was like, "No, that's not a typo. That's really it." And then we looked back and it was wild. Sorry to interrupt again. Go ahead.
No, you're. I mean, to your point, UConn beating us in Omaha a week ago Tuesday, or was it Wednesday? Either way, whatever. Whether it was Tuesday or Wednesday is not really the point. That was their first win ever in Omaha. And
Damn.
the Jays have been in the conference now. This will be 15 full seasons at the conclusion of the season. So, I mean, it's not quite to the level of the SEC, but it's very hard to win on the road in the Big East, particularly on Friday nights, Saturday nights, and Sunday afternoons, because the students tend to really show out and they're revved up, so to speak, for those games. And I mean, the only place that's basically a guaranteed win on the road is DePaul, because DePaul is so bad. But other than DePaul, I mean, Butler, you got to go to Hinkle Fieldhouse. That's a classic, cathedral of college basketball. Marquette plays where the Bucks play. That place gets loud. St. John's, obviously, when they choose to play games at Madison Square Garden, that place gets loud. Villanova plays where the Sixers play. Georgetown plays where the Wizards play, which they probably play better than the Wizards do in that building, to be honest. And Xavier, the Cintas Center in Cincinnati, that place is really tough to play at. So, yeah, going on the road, and it's very similar in the SEC. We see team, you can be a better team, but you go on the road, it's a hostile environment. Things can happen. I mean, so just playing on the road stuff, and then the Big Ten, it's the big point. Not only is it tough to play on the road, but you got teams going from one coast to the other coast and vice versa. I mean, that jet lag will get you, in the second half of those games.
Yeah. And then we hadn't really mentioned the number 5 team as far as the AP goes much this year, and that's Houston. And they've played some terrific defense. Right now, they're they got a pretty good lead starting on Arizona State, but Houston is the number 5 ranked team right now. In a tough Big 12, they have a chance at a 1 seed, and if they keep winning and playing great defense, they might get one.
Huge win for Kelvin Sampson this past weekend. In all the years he's been coaching, which has been a lot now, Kelvin Sampson's, I think, 68 years young, he finally gets his first win at Arizona in Tucson. And they had to come back to do it. They were down 11 at one point in that game. So kudos to Kelvin Sampson and his program at Houston. He's really built a heck of a program and culture there.
And the one thing about Houston, I think we could all agree that consensus right now, the best team in the country as far as record, resume, is the Auburn Tigers with a 23-2 record, and they're also 14-2 against quad one opponents, which is pretty.
I think they have the record, don't they, for most quad 1 wins at this point in a season?
I believe that they do. I got to double check that. I got to look at the research packet again on that, but you may be right on that. But it's kind of like a little bit of a critical thinking exercise. If we were to ask who could be the team outside of the SEC that could probably contend with Auburn if they had the opportunity in the tournament and possibly beat them, I think it's Houston. I think it's just the way that not only the way that Kelvin Sampson has kind of set up his scheme and his personnel and the way that they've been playing defense, they have a lot of veteran leadership in that starting lineup, a lot of experience that's been going. Even losing a guy like Jamal Shed, who led that offense, this team is still impressive in all phases of this game. Not to say that it would happen, but if you were to ask me if there was what team outside of the SEC that I think that could take Auburn out in the NCAA tournament, my first answer would be the Houston Cougars.
It would be a test of wills.
In your second guess, have you looked at the roster for Yale this year? How's Yale doing? Sorry, I had to do it.
Oh man, gotta love those Ivy League upsets. But to answer,
I agree with you. I mean, the 3 teams that I think that can compete with Auburn. Obviously, we already saw the Duke game earlier this year. Duke beat them. The Florida game, Florida beat them, and then I would agree with you, Houston. Those are probably the only 3. Maybe if Tennessee has a really good night, but we've seen Tennessee be Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, obviously. But yeah, those 3 would be the teams. If I'm Auburn, I don't really want to see in my, at least in my region, come March. You know,
and like St. John's, you mentioned about earlier about not hitting free throws to save their life. The thing about St. John's is they're a very like in the paint kind of team. Like the transfer portal has revived Rick Pitino.
To me, they look like Auburn, except they don't have a star like Janai Broom.
Well, and not just that. The thing about it is that, and our director of scouting, Adam Finkelstein, said this in the mid-season review, that St. John's needs to take more threes. Like their 3-point percentage is not that great. They need to knock down. If I were to have enough confidence that I think that St. John's could be able to hit a shot beyond the arc, I might consider maybe putting them in that category. The problem is they're still, even though that they're still getting success and they're still getting wins, they're still having a hard time doing that.
You got to think about that. You got to analyze.
I mean, we were daring them to shoot threes. They won't do it. I mean, they rarely shoot the three. You
got to analyze that.
Face paint in the paint team. That's what they are. That's their MO.
Pitino wants
a late 80s, early 90s NBA team in the Eastern Conference. They want to get points in the paint come hell or high water. They're going to bang down low. I mean, they're an absolutely exquisite second chance points team. They clean the glass like Windex. I mean, they are all over the boards.
All right, guys, let's take a break. Let's take a break, and let's take a break. We'll be back here in a second.
Smacking Off the podcast can use your support. How can you support us? You can buy awesome products using our affiliate links. These are products you want, products you need, in other words, stuff you will likely buy anyway. Go to smackology.42web.io and use our affiliate links at the top of the page. eBay, Fiverr, CBD for Life, A Premium Auto Parts, Clear VPN, Haley AI, Fans Edge, and Pinpause. We appreciate your support today, as well as in the future.
Smacking Off merch is available at our spread shop. Find awesome hoodies and t-shirts in all colors. Want it in your team color? Hit us up and tell us what you want, and we'll send you the web address for your custom shirt within 1 day. Go to smackology1.myspreadshop.com for awesome Smacking Off stuff.
It's Dr. Balls, can you feel that sound? In the house, got the party going down. Where you at? Better step on the scene. We drop a rhyme sharp like a damn machine. On the mic, I'm the remedy, no need for a doubt. You feeling low? Let me show you where we at. Get the vibe. I'm the one you can trust. When Dr. Balls drops, you can't help but thrust. On the mic, I'm the remedy, no need for a doubt. You feeling low? Let me show you where we at. Get the vibe. I'm the one you can trust when Dr. Balls drops. Dr. Balls in the house! Where the fuck you at?
All right. Now I want to get back to Rick Pitino. Now, philosophically, Rick Pitino wants to shoot the three, so it's a real tell for that program that they're not shooting three. That absolutely means he don't believe they can do it, and they don't have anybody that can do it. So St. John's, if they had somebody that could shoot the three, I guarantee they'd be burning the lights out because that's his MO. So that's a real tell for St. John's on winning the Natty is they don't have anybody that can shoot the three, or they'd be doing it.
And that's why I think they could make a deep run in the tournament. I just don't think they'll make the Final Four by not being able to shoot the three in today's game. I think that's a liability for them.
Absolutely. So I'm looking right now, and I'm seeing quite an upset brewing. I don't know how big of an upset it is now this year for Kansas, but right now BYU is up on Kansas 25-14. at BYU. So how the mighty has fallen. With it, same thing with Kentucky. Kentucky lost the other day to Texas. Texas had a great Trey Johnson went for like 30 some points. A young freshman, he's definitely headed the NBA. And so teams like Kentucky and Kansas falling off is a big opening for a lot of other programs like Texas Tech. Texas A&M could have took advantage of that situation, but they're losing to Mississippi State, who's played well lately. And last week, Mississippi State had a big win over Ole Miss at Ole Miss, so they're rising. So when teams like Kansas, Kentucky fall off, you got to step up and take over. But really, the SEC is strongest it's been probably my whole life, and with or without Kentucky, who I don't know, guys. What do y'all think?
On Kansas is an enigma this year. Well, they brought in transfer from Alabama, Rylan Griffin. Then they brought in AJ Storr and Hunter Dickinson. It almost feels like he's in his like 9th or 10th year in college basketball, and it just doesn't seem like it just gelled. Like I think like AJ Storr, it seems like he's had a difficult time really enamoring himself into the Bill Self type of system and that type of offense. It seems like Griffin's coming along a little bit, but it doesn't just seem like it's fast enough. Because if you look at this team on paper, you look at it and you go, damn, this should be a national championship contender. And it's just not coming together.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And tonight, we've already seen it. Mississippi State beating Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Chris Jans.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Mississippi State is coming up. They've had a couple good wins lately, and Texas A&M has played well. Buzz Williams' teams play some really intense defense. They're hard to scramble after the ball. Lots of effort. Just shows you how deep the SEC is. And I was really impressed. What's that?
I think it's the best it's ever been in my lifetime. I don't know about you, Dr. Balls, but
oh, absolutely.
I mean,
There's never been no
loaded. I mean, for a little while there, Texas was giving Alabama a bit of a game in their last meeting until Bama, stretched it out in the second half. But man, this is just a great league. I mean, really, the only two teams that have kind of disappointed is Georgia and South Carolina.
Yeah. So the Bama Auburn number 1 versus 2 matchup was the first in series history. But a lot of people don't realize that this is actually the first number. That was actually the first number 1 versus number 2 in SEC history.
In the 76 years of the AP poll for basketball, so people don't. It's been around longer for football, so people go, "Oh, wait a minute, that math doesn't jive." For college basketball, the 76 years of the AP poll, there have been 44 1 versus 2 matchups. And Doug is absolutely right. There's the first time it ever happened in the SEC, and it was Auburn and Alabama, which is crazy.
What shocked me, I mean, with Kentucky in the league, and, you've got a lot of number 1 and number 2 spots right there taken up. The fact that you
Kentucky and like LSU in the Pete Maravich days would have been a 1 versus 2.
LSU wasn't competitive in the Pete Maravich days, really, but the closest I think we've come to it was number 1 Florida at Rupp Arena versus number 3 Kentucky in 2003, when Kentucky had Tayshaun Prince and Keith Bogans and Jamal McGlory. I think that's the closest 1 versus 3 at Rupp Arena, which Kentucky won versus Florida. And
isn't that crazy, Bob, that LSU wasn't competitive with Maravich when he still is like, if you were to take away the fact that now we have a 3-point shot, because he did in his era, like the points that he scored, he's still in men's basketball, I believe, the all-time leading scorer points wise, and he did that in an era without the 3-point shot, which is just,
he's number 1 in the SEC for sure. It's him and then Dan Issel is the top 2 scorers in SEC history. But LSU had Shaq and Chris Jackson and couldn't beat a depleted Kentucky team in 93-94 season. And they So it's plus. Here's the real reason behind that, Sean. It's the same reason that North Carolina's went downhill, and other teams like UK when they had Coach Sutton and he played his son. When these teams play their son and Saul Smith and Tubby Smith, then they lose, right? Because it becomes about the interest of making the son happy, your wife happy, whoever it is, instead about whatever it takes to win. I mean, when Saul Smith was at Kentucky, there was no reason that he should have ever stepped on the court with the other talent they had there, and he cost them. And the same thing with Pete Maravich. He was the whole focus of the team. So Adolph Rupp says, let him do what he wants to do. We'll shut everybody else down. Hell, there was a game where Pete Maravich had like 40-some points versus UK, and almost nobody, I think only one other person scored on LSU. In the same game, Dan Issel had 44 points. UK wins, right?
Bob,
so that's what.
Bob, are you sending those kind of messages to your Clemson football friends as a little heads up?
Well, football's different, right? Because football, you have such a big. You can't unless it's the quarterback, right? Now, how many people I don't know. In my life, I seem to remember a head coach that had a quarterback as his son, but I can't remember. Does anybody remember a Division I head coach, a big time program that had the father son at head coach and quarterback?
The closest to me wasn't John Elway's father close with his coach at Stanford. I can't remember the coach at Stanford, but they were pretty very, very tight family wise, you know.
What about Chandler
yeah.
Jack Elway?
Yeah, like Jack Elway wasn't. I don't think he was coaching at Stanford at the time that John was there, but he was very close with the head coach at Stanford, and it was a semi father-son relation as far as big time names. I can't really think of anybody else. You know, Jason probably has a better answer than I do.
Well, I was going to say the only like father-son coach-player combo that I know right off the top of my head would be Homer and Bryce Drew at Valparaiso back in the 90s.
And he hit the big shot.
Yeah.
Well, when did Elway go? When did Elway go to the NFL, Sean?
83 draft. That was
His dad was at San Jose State in '83. Right. He took over the Stanford job in '84, right after his son graduated, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, San Jose State is literally probably without traffic, a 20-minute drive from Stanford's campus. As you know, I live out here in the Bay Area. With traffic, it could be up to an hour, but I mean, he could be there in a minute. And you know, obviously, he took over after John was gone. But if you don't think he was there on a regular basis and talking with the coach at Stanford, I mean, you'd be foolish because everybody wanted. You know, I think he was part of the the Marcus Dupree recruiting class. So Elway was was him, it was Marino, and it was Jim Kelly were the big three that came out in that draft.
The one thing that
there's a great 30 for 30 on that particular.
And then you have those other three bums that also came out that didn't amount to much in the NFL. Quarterbacks in there. Todd Blackledge, I think, is in that class. We know.
And O'Brien.
Okay.
Yeah, O'Brien for the Jets. And there one other one, Ed. There were 6 taken in that first round. I mean, the big ones are Elway, Marino, and Kelly, and then O'Brien, Blackledge. There's one other guy.
Art Schlichter?
No, wasn't Schlichter. I think he was 82. Yeah,
O'Brien took the Jets to the playoffs. O'Brien took the Jets to the playoffs, I think, in '89 or '90 when they had Al Toon and Gastineau, and so
I
he
think
at least
Gastineau was gone by then in '89. That most of those New York Sack Exchange guys were gone by like '87.
But he did take them to the playoffs once. I do remember that, but
I think they lost to Bernie Kosar and the Browns in Cleveland, if memory serves.
No, they there was a game probably right after I got home from the Gulf War, and I went to some friend's house, and we had a big cookout, and there was lots of beer drank and stuff, and I ended up passed out on my buddy's couch. And when I went to sleep, it was on Monday Night Football. The Dolphins were killing the Jets, right? And I don't remember. And I woke up, and it was about 3 hours later, and the game was still on, right? And the Jets ended up coming back and beating Miami. Does anybody remember that game? It went on to like 2:30 in the morning. Anyway.
I looked it up. The forgotten man that I didn't include because he was awful in the NFL, though he did play in a Super Bowl. Illinois' Tony Ethan was the sixth quarterback we were looking for.
Now, he played for the Patriots for a while.
Got destroyed by the 85 Bears in the Superdome.
But he did make it to
the best term for that, yeah.
40-10. Hell yeah. There was some great teams in, and that's the beauty of us talking college basketball right now at this very time. There's the SEC has more excitement than it ever has. It seems like the ACC's off a little bit, but the Big 12 is having a pretty damn good year, even though Kansas isn't the top team of all time that they've ever had, but they're still a good conference. And the not the Ohio State, but the Big Ten, the teams they've absorbed, such as Maryland, has been good. So really, the conference realignment has been good for basketball. It hasn't affected the Big East, so it's been good for basketball.
If you think ACC people griped last year about not getting a lot of teams in, they're about to have pitchforks and torches because looking at it, I only see 3, maybe 4 teams from the ACC getting into this tournament. It's not looking good for the ACC. It's really not.
I would probably agree. I would agree with that, but I'm gonna get a positive on the this. I know we're the crap on ACC part, but I'm just gonna throw a positive out here for an ACC team, and it looks like Louisville has taken full of it because we were just a couple of years back that Louisville was just a dumpster fire. It was so bad that a dog performing during a halftime show literally took a shit on their court. And it was pretty much a summary of that era of Louisville basketball.
Coach
and now looking at them now, they're 20-6 and second in the ACC. So in a down ACC year, I tip the hat to Louisville for a little bit, even though they had to use a lot of the portal to kind of get back into it. Louisville has fully taken advantage to kind of get back up to that upper echelon of the ACC, even though that they're probably not up to that tournament caliber yet.
I'd agree with that. And then Clemson is making a decent showing, so I think that's our third team. Now, who do you see as a fourth team?
That's the hard question. I mean, there's a lot of basketball left to be played. I know we got 4 weeks of the regular season, and then the conference tournament. I think the fourth team that's going to get in because of the big win the other night on the road in a good game. It was a good game. I think Wake Forest is going to be that fourth team that gets in from the ACC. That was a good win down at SMU the other night. It was tight at half, and then Wake kind of stretched it out towards the end. I think Wake Forest is going to be that fourth team that gets in. If they were to get 5, it'd be SMU for the fifth one. But they got.
Yeah, Wake looks like they probably will get in.
Yeah, I think SMU is 1 year away. They're starting to stockpile a lot of talent coming in now. I think that they're 1 year away from not just being an ACC contender, but a tournament contender as well. It was a great game against Wake Forest, but I would agree that I would probably put, if there was a fourth team in the ACC right now, it would be Wake Forest. I'm really high on SMU for the future, right? And they've done pretty for what they've done pretty well. But I'm very high on them in the future because of some of the talent that they're going to be bringing in the next year.
I think you're spot on with that. I'd say you're absolutely right. I think they're a year ahead of schedule, and next year, man, watch out.
Just like football, they did the same thing in football. They was a little bit early ahead of schedule, but they were developing resources. They're starting to really use their money in the portal. It seems like they could be doing the same thing in college basketball. The whole program may be on the ascendancy.
Yeah, I mean,
Then,
you look at the rest. You look at the rest of that conference. I mean, even starting with North Carolina, 8-6 in conference, 15-11 overall. Talk about how the mighty have fallen. I mean, we talked about this on the last show, but I think Hubert Davis has got one more year, and if it's the same kind of result, he's going to be gone in a hurry, because this is frankly unacceptable for North Carolina. It's absolutely unacceptable.
Especially,
now who's up there?
especially with the talent they have right now, including the freshmen.
Yeah.
Now who's up there? Who's up there that could replace him at North Carolina?
Well, as long as Michael Jordan can write a check, I'm sure anybody that he can outbid will be more than willing to take a job on Chapel Hill and at the Dean Dome.
Yeah, he's got NASCAR money to burn now, right?
Did he win the Daytona 5? Was that his guy, or I don't know?
Well, I mean, he's got a NASCAR team now, so
Yes,
he's got
I
NASCAR
did.
money.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw him at the Daytona 500.
Although I wish there would have been a Jordan crying face on the hood of one of those cars. It would have been great.
But yeah, I mean, the difference is, when you talk about the Blue Bloods, being able to get, Chapel Hill is a great location, and there's a lot of talent around there, and in that region. The only Blue Blood that's really, to me, in a spot where you go, man, they've tried a lot, it's just not working, is Indiana, and we're gonna see it again at the end of this season with, help me out, Mike
Woodson.
Mike Woodson stepping down. I mean, this is what, coach number 6 since Bob Knight, 7, and they've been basically, since Bobby Knight left, they've been mediocre. They've been an afterthought.
Now, Mike Davis didn't do too bad. I think they were too quick to get rid of Mike Davis, and he at least took a team to the national championship, even though it was quite unexpected. No, he lost the championship game, but it was quite unexpected. But I thought there was the hate for Mike Davis was too quick. But I look out there and I don't really know two things. One is how much money is behind Indiana in terms of NIL, and B, who really wants that job,
I think that I don't think there's enough money NIL wise, and you're in a really tough location to recruit against teams that have more money than you. Purdue's right there, Michigan State, Michigan not far away, Kentucky's not far away, Illinois is right there. I think you're looking at Indiana hoops the way you're looking at Nebraska football. They're the blue blood name, but future success not looking great.
So they really have to just kind of follow that rule of basketball to kind of put everything back into place.
A big name coach wouldn't hurt for sure. I don't know who that is.
I don't know how much of it's a big name, because when I think of big name, I think of like Bruce Pearl. I think of Nate Oates. And Alabama, Auburn sure as hell ain't going to let them leave to go to Bloomington, Indiana. That's for sure. We know that.
If Indiana wrote a check, do you think they could pull Jay Wright off the television set?
Well, I was actually going to suggest, and I might actually get punched in the face with this, and I got a funny story about this after I mentioned this guy. But Greg Marshall from Wichita State, or he used to be at Wichita State. To bring him back, because he's got that Bob Knight kind of thing, even though that he punched an assistant, and that's probably why. But funny story, when I was in Wichita and I was covering a Greg Marshall press conference, and I had always set a timer on my phone for 1:30. I forgot why the hell I did it, but I was recording his audio. And what we usually do is I put the phone up on the table where he's speaking, and other writers have done that too. So you've got like 7 iPhones that are laid across the table right by Greg Marshall's microphone. Well, I'm in the midst. Everything was going okay. Questions were being answered. All of a sudden, it gets to 1:30, and that damn alarm goes off right in the middle of it. And it was like I just kind of buried my head down and went, "Oh shit!" And right then and there was a look from Greg Marshall, and he stared right into the depths of my soul. And I guarantee you, he probably would have been a Death Eater and would have actually sucked it out like in a Harry Potter film. That's how pissed off he looked. And I just, tucked my tail between my legs and ran up there, cut the phone off. And he was like, so you got an important date or something like that? And I'm like, oh, fuck. And yeah, it got on the 5 o'clock news, and it was a fun time. And but then after the news about what led to his resignation, I was like, oh God, that guy could have punched me in the face and probably wanted to.
Goodness.
Yeah,
his wife
he was high strung for sure.
But he was a take no prisoners, all business kind of guy, and that's why Alabama was going after him after they fired Anthony Grant, because it was crazy that I was one of the first few that was, I wouldn't say breaking the story, but was kind of leaning towards it, because my contacts back in Alabama were telling me they're probably going to try to make a good run at Marshall. And when I insinuated that, or maybe kind of just, tossed the test balloon up there, oh boy, the Wichita State fans, they came after me. They were like, there is no way that they would do that. And I was like, you're probably right, but Alabama has money, but also the Koch brothers had money, and that was the difference of what kept him there.
Well, and since he's since gone from Wichita State, and they haven't been.
No, they have not
been very good. I know they had the upset win the other night over Memphis, which I think Memphis fell asleep in that game more than Wichita State is a good team. But they have not been the Wichita State of the 90s and early 2000s that we knew. That place used to be a really tough place to play. I could say that because Creighton used to be in the Missouri Valley with them, and that was every time we saw them on the schedule on the road, we go, man, bring your lunchbox, because it's going to be a tough game.
I have heard Koch Arena get loud to the point that I can't even hear the guy next to me on press row. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And now I look and I definitely think changing conferences didn't help them. They were
should have, but it didn't. You're right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they were the big fish in the small pond in the Missouri Valley, which certainly they shouldn't be there anymore. And now they're in the American. And the American is it's a sneaky good league. It's not as good as obviously the power leagues. There's some good basketball being played there. And Wichita State is middle of the road.
Yeah. Missouri Valley was a tough conference in those days. It was a 3-bid league.
Well, the crazy thing is after Wichita State left to go to the American, Illinois Chicago out of the Missouri Valley won it and went all the way to the Final Four shortly after that.
That's right. Now it's basically
Sister Jean, shout out.
And they're not in the league anymore. They went over to the Atlantic 10. So now it's, you have Drake, you have Northern Iowa, and you have Bradley. And then in those few years when Indiana State and Murray State put together some teams, you have them, but it's not quite the Missouri Valley of its heyday.
You brought up the Atlantic 10. Man, I remember how sneaky good of a league that was. Like just years back.
It's sneaking around again this year. I mean, it
just sneaks up on you, like Richmond, St. Bonaventure, those kind of school, Dayton. They just sneak up on you. They hit you.
Used to be good.
So they got what I would argue 2 for sure teams in right now. In George Mason. George Mason's 21-5, and VCU, who's 20-5. And then Dayton is sitting there at 18-8. I think Dayton has more work to do, but they might get 3 teams in out of that A-10. Maybe 4 if we have a shocker like last year when Duquesne came out of nowhere, like 15 or 14 to win the conference tournament, and then they actually won a couple games in the big tournament. But they might get 3, but definitely 2. I mean, George Mason and VCU are very good teams.
Hell yeah.
That's still a good league. I mean, they're 3 or 4 of their below 500 in conference teams still have overall winning records. So it tells you, They're a decent enough league. They could shock some people, and we've seen that with George Mason and VCU before in the past.
Yeah. You had a big run when Chocolate Smart was there. They could have another.
He's actually struggling now with Marquette. We thought Marquette was going to be better than what they were, and they've struggled this year in the Big East, which is kind of surprising. I thought they were going to be
pretty good, though.
They're still pretty good.
I mean,
No
they're
doubt,
still
but
ranked. They are
I
still.
really thought at the beginning of the year they were going to win the conference, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
They're always disappointing in March, though.
Always. Oh, well, not, unless you go all the way back to the Al McGuire days.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, Cedric Maxwell's not walking out onto that floor anytime soon.
Cornbread Maxwell, man, he rubbed the Lakers the wrong way. We love Cedric Maxwell.
That's right.
Pissing the Lakers off.
What was that guy? Butch? What was Butch's last name? The guard. Oh,
That's a Dr. Balls question. He knows those teams.
Beard?
No.
I don't know who you're talking about. I've watched Al McGuire talk on and on about this stuff, so I'm having a real brain for it. I even watched the 77 championship game. I remember watching it. I was sad that UK had lost in the Final Four and didn't win the championship, and then Marquette won it. So I even watched that game and can't remember it.
Is it Alfred? Is it one Alfred Butch Lee?
Might be Butch Lee. Yeah.
That's a
85.
Hell yeah. Well, that was a great team. Doc Rivers played for that team?
No, he played for Marquette, though.
Oh, yeah. And then Dwayne Wade. That was one of the heartbreaks of my life, was watching Keith Bogans trying to guard Dwayne Wade with a broken ankle. Right. UK had everything set up to win the championship that year. And then the SEC tournament championship, Keith Bogans breaks his ankle. They lived through the tournament, and then they get to Marquette and just couldn't make a shot. They went like a 8-minute stretch in the second half, couldn't make a shot. And they didn't stop Dwayne Wade either. And then so that was a great one.
And apologies, by the way, 85 was when Butch Lee was in the M Club Hall of Fame for Marquette. My bad.
Okay.
There you go. But,
so anything on the horizon we need to know about, y'all?
Oh, yeah, there's always lots of stuff on the horizon. I had something queued up here. Tomorrow night, we're looking at Alabama versus number 15, Missouri. That's going to be an interesting game. We've got Arkansas at Auburn, which Arkansas has talent but no coaching.
Come on, Bob. Really?
I love it.
Not bitter there, Bob.
Friday, we got – actually, I got to give Calipari some credit. I actually seen him run out-of-bounds plays, different sets other than the guy going straight for the basket and throwing it up over three people. So I actually seen Calipari run sets and out-of-bounds plays in like 3 games in a row this year. It was unbelievable to me. I didn't think he was capable of doing it, but he ran sets and plays that were at the right time.
Compliment, Bob.
Yeah.
I got to give you this, Bob, though. He definitely didn't do what he should do at Kentucky, and he definitely didn't deserve to be there.
We have an upset brewing, by the way, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah? Which is it the Kansas BYU?
No, it's unranked TCU might take down number 9 Texas Tech here. 18 seconds left to go, and the Horned Frogs are up by 3. This would be a big win for them, and a bad loss for Texas Tech.
Yep, that's happening right now. My thing is behind at 39 seconds left. So I'd like to see that. I love upsets. And then we got this Friday night, we have Michigan State at Michigan. That's a huge matchup, Ed. Are you in for that?
Oh, I'm into all of them.
Let's hope Michigan doesn't bring their refs to this one in Ann Arbor. A lot of home cooking going on there at Chrysler Arena.
Well, so here's the deal. I think right now, Michigan is ranked a little bit higher than they should be.
And Michigan State's now ranked a little lower than they should be, so Michigan is ranked higher. So I will predict a close Michigan State win.
Goodness. And
I don't like it.
Oh, you don't like it?
We love it. We love it on the Dr. Balls podcast.
He says, I don't like it. It's only rock and roll, but I don't like it. Right. And then Saturday, we also have Tennessee at Texas A&M. I think that's an interesting matchup.
Oh, that's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I believe it is. Defensive
I predict
struggle.
an early exit in March for Tennessee.
No, that's
Why
Rick
is that? You can't
Barnes' MO. I could see that.
I mean, I'll accept
But
that.
they won their first 17 games of the year. Is that right?
Yeah.
They haven't
I think
been
it depends on the
that
officials
good.
that a Tennessee team gets. If you get a officiating crew with a quick whistle, absolutely. The style of hoops that they play. If you have a officiating crew that keeps the whistle in their pocket, I think that helps Tennessee. They're a very physical team.
But they haven't been that good since the hot start to the season.
Well, they're playing.
They-
They're playing in the toughest conference. I mean, what do you?
But they have not been that good in the conference. They've been good.
Think about this. Barnes had DJ Augustine and Kevin Durant and couldn't make it to the Final Four when he was at Texas.
That's kind of
that's
shocking. That's yeah. I mean,
That hurt me deep into my soul right there.
Yeah, it's fact, bro. And so,
I mean, it was a good
guy.
comeback win over the weekend. They were down at home to Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's got a decent team. And Tennessee came back and won that game.
They were down big.
Yeah, so I like the fight that they're showing. Are there teams that are more? Are there teams that are more talented? Yeah, I mean, but I could see them going out in the first round. I could see them making it to the Final Four. That it's just Tennessee. To me,
I
this year
see
has
them
been-
having no chance to get to the Final Four.
Well,
I
you
think
can't say,
they're-
I don't think that's accurate. I mean, it depends on the seeding, the draw you get, upsets. I mean,
No, that's my
Well-
prediction. That's all. I think they're
Well-
a Sweet 16 team and they'll be gone.
Well, the joke is you hope they don't get paired up with Colgate because Colgate and Tennessee don't go together.
there
ouch.
you go.
The
Even
thing
in the
that I
team,
thought
right?
that was most intriguing. I know we had talked about the Auburn-Alabama game, but Alabama has a hellacious schedule to close out this season. I mean, good Lord. What are their next 4 out of their 5 next opponents are all ranked in the top 25? Is that right? That's
Yeah, they got Missouri, then they got Kentucky, and then let's see who else they got. Mississippi State, and then
ranked.
and then Tennessee. So they have
Ranked.
And then the conference tournament.
And then the SEC. I kind of
They
agreed
closed
with
with
Jay
Auburn. They
Billis
closed
on
with
the
Auburn.
broad- I sort of agreed with Jay Billis on the call the other night in the Auburn-Alabama game. The SEC tournament might be harder to win than the NCAA tournament this year. I mean, it's absolutely loaded.
Well, your first
Uh,
round
that-
game's going to be harder in conference than in the big dance. That's for sure.
Bama closes the regular season at Auburn.
And then
Yeah,
they
it
close
is.
with Auburn. So you're talking those are all ranked teams in the top 25. I mean, that's insane.
And the one thing too, if we talk about Alabama and Auburn, is we remember how Auburn kind of got off to a bit of the slow start. There's a little bit of tension, a fight on the plane, where but they eventually got it right. I think right now, for Alabama, with this slate that's coming up, as tough as it's going to be, because really in the end all be all, the regular season, you can have walls into the regular season. I think Alabama can afford that. Get all of the bad stuff, get all the mistakes, get everything like that, get the wrinkles out. And I think that Auburn has already done it because it looks like they're just firing on all cylinders now after a slow start. I feel like this is Alabama's opportunity to get those wrinkles out. Not even just before the SEC tournament, more and all for the NCAA tournament, because in the grand scheme of things, that's what is important and matters. The conference tournament is just going to determine your seeding. If you win that, you have a chance to get the number 1 overall seed, which that's what Auburn's going for as well. And they probably could afford right now, even if they were ousted early in the tournament, that they would probably still get it. But Alabama, from this standpoint, this could be the opportunity where there's been a little bit of sloppy play. They're playing a little bit of tougher competition. So everything as far as the mistakes and getting the crap out of their system heading into the postseason, I feel like this could be a good opportunity to do that. So if they fall down a little bit more, I don't think that there's any reason to panic from that standpoint. It's just getting the lead out just in time for the postseason. And I think that Nate Oates, and with the talent that this team has, I think they can do it.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
I don't think they should even panic after losing to Auburn, because you talk about this. They still scored 85 points against one of the best defenses in the country, and they only shot 19% from 3-point range, which is very unlike them.
Yeah, if they'd been hitting, they'd win that game.
You know, if they had shot 23%, 24% from 3, they might have won that game. So it's not time to press panic. I think Nate Oates will, okay, we saw some things we're not quite doing right in that Auburn game. We'll fix those. If they go into Missouri and win on the 19th, I think all things will be fine. Kentucky and Mississippi State are tough teams, but you get them at home, which is, it's very tough to win at Coleman. Coleman's one of the loudest places in the country. So, I don't think I completely agree with you, Jason. I don't think it's time, if you're an Alabama fan, to press the panic button whatsoever.
But the one thing I will say is, if you go back to even the game against Ole Miss at Coleman Coliseum, the thing that stood out for me in that game was just how physical Ole Miss was. That's your secret for beating an Alabama team, if you can out physical, which is very, very hard to do. But if you out physical a team like Alabama, you can beat a team like Alabama. And that's what Ole Miss did, with just inside the glass and everything, getting second chance opportunities. They were able to bang with Alabama immunity in the paint. And that's how they were able to be successful. Now, Ole Miss was not that consistent, but
that's the story of their 4 losses this year. At Purdue was more physical. Oregon was more physical. Ole Miss was, and then obviously the other night Auburn was getting second and third rebounds, and was physical. And you're not going to see a lot of teams like that in the NCAA tournament. That kind of physicality. Maybe once you get to the Sweet 16, okay, maybe. But a lot of the teams are more built like, kind of like Alabama was last year, which is frenetic pace. You got an open shot, take it, and then you get back on defense. You're not crashing board. That's the one thing you can't say about Auburn and Tennessee, man. And even to a lesser extent, Texas A&M, and you already mentioned Ole Miss. They're physical. They're banging on the glass in the paint. They're very physical teams. But at the same token, I look sometimes, they get too physical. I thought at the beginning of that Auburn-Alabama game, Auburn got a lot of fouls early. I thought that was going to affect them. And kudos to them and credit to Bruce Pearl. It really didn't, but I thought it was going to. I said, man, they've got a lot of fouls with, there was, 13 minutes still left in the first half. And they already had, 7 or 8 fouls? So.
The one thing you love is when you see that 40 minutes of hell kind of clash with that physical style of basketball. That's intriguing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, well, the guy that he's a great cog for Bruce Pearl, and Pearl uses him to perfection. But I mean, Cardwell is a great rebounder, great defender, but he offers you almost nothing offensively. And particularly if you foul him, he's not going to make a free throw. He played 153 games for Auburn. He's a fifth-year guy. and he's still shooting, I think, 61% from the line. So, Cardwell is out there for rebounds, defense, physicality, and he's got 5 fouls to give, and we're going to use those 5 fouls. Now, where Auburn can get in trouble is Chad Baker-Mazara doing dumb things, as we saw in the Yale game last year and then almost Saturday night against Alabama.
There you go.
All right, guys. Anybody got anything to add before I pull the plug?
Like, share, subscribe, and join the group. Smack It Off the podcast.
I have a sneaky team. One last thing. A sneaky team to keep your eye on that could ruin a lot of dreams come March. Keep an eye on the artist formerly known as McNeese State, now known as McNeese. That team is really good.
All right, Joe McNeese and fuck them balls.
Isn't that the one where the former LSU coach Will Wade is at?
I believe
Yeah.
so, yeah. I don't care for Will Wade, but that team is really good.
I got a question for the doctor before we sign off. What's going on with Murray State? Traditionally a good, very strong program, not doing great.
They fell off, and some of the players they thought they would get actually went to Kentucky, and those guys will probably be UK's future in Chandler and Perry and Noah. So the guys they thought was going to be their guys and their future are playing at UK, and they're going to be the future of the Cats.
Okay.
Enjoy the game,
night, guys.
gentlemen. It's starting to heat up. It's almost March.
It is. Night, everyone.
Good night, guys.